three of us, but Callie's our fourth member. So, okay, there are no reports as the principals are off duty. So I guess we'll move on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve or any questions?
Move to approve.
I second. All those opposed, please say aye. Motion carried. All right, first item under old and new business is the Paxco Middle School, and I move to go into executive session to discuss Paxco Middle School pursuant to the exception for the data relating to financial affairs or trade secrets of corporations, partnerships, trusts, and individual proprietorships under COMA. And the open meeting will resume in the boardroom at 10 minutes. How much you want, Steve?
Do that.
Never mind, we're not going.
10 or 15 minutes. Yeah.
Okay, we'll go for 15 minutes to resume back here at 6:18. Is there a second?
Second.
All those opposed say aye. Motion carried. All right. So are you going to take Callie with us, or are we staying here?
Yeah,
Okay.
if that's good.
Let's see, moving on to action item number 2, Maple Hill Elementary, KSDE Apollo redesign.
The board officially, or earlier, had accepted the the Maple Hill Elementary to be involved in the program. And just the fact that now they're approved for launch, they needed to know by June 1st. I let them know, and that then the board officially has to have it in their minutes that they send to KSDE that it was approved, that they are part of the KSDE Apollo redesign.
I so move. Is there a second? Been moved and seconded. All those opposed, please say aye. Motion carried. Thank you.
You bet.
You guys are welcome to stick around if you want. If you don't, anybody that wanted to peace out is welcome to. Doesn't matter. Okay. Next item is bond.
Don and Tony met with the Alma City Commission, or City Council, and so, Don, if you wanted to give a little report on that, that'd be great.
We met with them and talked about different things we possibly may do. And asked if they had any objections or if there were anything involved that would hinder the process. And there's nothing there. And their thumbs up.
Thanks for taking the time to do that. And Tony too. Okay.
And so the next step then would be for, if you would like to meet with staff to get input as well,
Okay.
prior to having something go out public in July. And then this is what we're moving forward with, and having the resolution in July. The latest you can have it is in August, but Troy may want to check that just to make sure on the,
The resolution.
yeah, on the bond calendar. But if you did it in July after getting input from staff and had the resolution, you've got to have so many days in advance
Okay.
for a November election, so.
How do you foresee that that working here in the month of between June and July meeting? How do you foresee that working with you and staff?
You can put an email out and ask, here's the 2 options we're looking at. Because you don't want to give them necessarily any more than these, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you see, good, bad, and different? Share it with us, and or have representatives from each of the buildings, ask them to come in and meet. You have those kind of choices, so.
Is it a possibility to have, I mean, like Dawn and Tony went and met with the city, could we have a couple of board members have an open house with them some day that they would choose?
You could lead it.
I was thinking you was gonna be a good one for that, though. But anyway, would it be fair enough to send them all an email and say, hey, we could have an open house, XYZ date and time, that we could meet here, or whatever building, it doesn't matter.
And then you could have Maria here with HTK, VHS, Shane or Paul, and or both, and they can say, hey, this is where we're thinking. What do you guys think of this? Those kind of things. Because I think that, again, the things that we heard last time was, didn't talk to the city prior to, and staff didn't have input prior to.
Well, let's set up a date where
I think we need to
do
set up
it
a
and you
date.
can be there.
That's fine, I will volunteer my time to do that. If none of the rest of the board sees issue, I'll do that. Okay. So, when's our next board meeting then? Is July 11th. So, any day next week other than Friday, and any day the week after that except for Monday is the 4th.
Yeah, fine.
Okay, you want to send that out as options?
What days?
So the week of June 27th through the 30th, or July 5th through the 8th. Do you care what time of day? Maybe they do that.
I couldn't do anything before 10 o'clock probably.
Okay,
It's great.
right.
You can plan that.
So afternoons.
Okay.
Callie?
Well, I'm sorry, I was saying, because, well, the first meeting in July was done, I mean, I'd be happy to be there too with you, but just to try and get all of the, HDK and everybody there, it might be good to give them an extra week's notice, just.
Unfortunately, I just don't believe we have the time because if we try and sandwich this into 3 days, I believe you better give the teachers the option, and HTK and BHS are just gonna have to conform. We're hiring them to do our services, and I appreciate what they do, but they need to show up.
All right.
They don't work in public schools.
Yeah. The teachers need to have the say on when they wanna be here, so give them the options. If it happens so land, then give them the extra week, then great. If it doesn't, then.
Are you saying a whole week or one day?
No, pick-
out of that
Yes. There's 2 weeks of time there for them to pick a
day?
date.
Okay, got it.
Yes. Yep.
The afternoon, in the afternoon.
In the afternoons of any of those days, they tell us, and
I can
Jerome
do-
and I have
can do
committed.
evening too, but
Yeah,
if it's afternoon or 1 or 2, I don't.
yeah, anytime noon or after throughout the day, Jerome and I are available. And Callie, you said you would like to be there as well?
Yep, I'll try
Okay.
to be there.
Sounds good. Any other feedback around that? Hearing none, then I guess we can move on. Next is the Paxico Middle School modulars.
Would recommend we move forward. Perry and Compton School District will pay $7,500 for the 2 modulars. It does cost them around $18,000 a piece to move them, but that's all on them. And they are more than willing and wanting those modulars right away, so.
Do we have a deadline as to when we, have them picked up or paid for?
No, we sent them an invoice for $7,500, and so they're aware and ready to go, and they're lining up the movers, and so.
I moved it.
I second. Dawn seconded. All those in favor or opposed, say aye. Okay, motion carried. Budget transfers.
The closeout and the budget transfers will be in July, and those amounts will be then approved for statute. If you change the transfer amounts, then you need to change and have the board approve those transfers. So in July, that's what we did last year too. There was a list. So for capital outlay, for instance, or special education or vocational funding, those have changed. And we want to make sure to ensure that the general fund, LOB, both of those are zeroed out. And so Michelle and office staff is meeting tomorrow, actually, with Butch, who helped us in the previous years, and with when Cheryl was the board clerk, to ensure moving forward with those budget amounts and close out and move forward. So, yep.
But those need to be approved.
Correct.
Okay.
When, yeah, in July.
In July.
Yeah,
Okay.
we have those amounts.
It's an action item.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's
it
okay.
should have been.
No problem. Okay, any discussion around the budget or transfers for July, or?
And one thing I would point out too about the budget, we just got confirmation this past week, Friday I believe, that our SR 3 funds are approved. So that's $421,000 of funds. That's all in personnel. And we've been very transparent about $500 stipends for those that, all employees. And the planned 3% raise is included in that, so it doesn't have to be within your budget. Those are included in that for the next 3 years. The third year of it you're gonna run short of the 3%. But the other thing that we do is you have to have 20% to specific areas, and the specific areas that we use the 20% for is for the counselor, elementary counselor position, and also for there's money in there for the social emotional grant, for the SRO grant. We have a COPS grant that we're with the county, so those type of things. And there's also money included, listening to what teachers asked for. They asked for a math interventionist in the elementary level, which we've not been able to hire. But much like what Stephanie Tarman is with reading recovery, with the reading portion, having a math person and a math interventionist is included in that. You can change that. It doesn't have to be exactly that. If you can't fill the position, you can spend it in other ways, but it does include those things that are, quote, directly related to COVID in regards to social, emotional, mental health.
Okay.
With the grants that we have, with, like I said, SRO, MHRT, the mental health grant, and or the funding of the elementary counselor positions.
So you can't find people to fill the interventionist position? Is that-
Have not been able to at this point.
Okay. Thank you. Callie, you have any questions or comments on that budget?
Nope, that sounds good, thank you.
Okay, then moving on. Next is prime vendor food bid and milk bid.
Sharman is here. Sharman is taking Janice's position of board treasurer. She's also the COVID coordinator, which, by the way, we're going to talk about a little bit after that, about that, and that being able to pay her portion of her salary for the district. So, but she's gotten this for everybody to see on food bids and
Okay.
milk. So,
And I reached out to 5 vendors. US Foods sent a letter declining. SGC Food, they never responded. Highland Dairy, they put in a bid for milk for $20,243.93. If you'll notice their services over there, they provide all the coolers for all the schools. They rotate the product, they put away the product, and anything that runs out of date, they exchange it. So their bid is a little higher than the milk bid for EFCO, but EFCO does not provide any coolers. They do not put away the product, so there's, a chance staff could get injured or something like that. So the difference there that you see with Highland Dairy, their services are far and above what EFCO would provide. I know last year they went with EFCO, or the year before, and they fell through on a lot of product. They left us standing with nothing, as you can, or Cisco did, sorry. EFCO is the one that we would like to go with, but Cisco is the one that left us standing a lot. So, and you can see they're clearly a lot more expensive. So we would like to go with EFCO for the food and Highland Dairy for the milk.
and Deb Westhoff's aware of this too, right?
Yes.
Sharman?
Yeah.
Yeah. As a food service.
Those were her recommendations as well.
I looked at her.
I second. It's been moved and seconded to approve the EVCO bid for food and Highland Dairy for milk. All those opposed, please say aye. Motion carried. All right, next we're moving on to the propane bid.
We have 3 bids that were opened. If you choose to go locally, it's 3 cents a gallon more through Alma Co-op rather than the low bid of $1.70. But that's a choice if the board would like to keep it local or not.
I would say.
Who did it last week?
Alma Co-op did it last year.
Football?
Co-op.
Football.
Football.
Was bad, dude.
Yeah, I was. I so moved to approve Alma Co-op as our propane supplier.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to use Alma Co-op as our propane supplier. All those opposed, please say aye. Motion carried. Moving on, continuation of the Kdhe testing grant.
Sharman's here again, and with that too, the information before we get into that, I just want to make sure everybody understands by continuing this, it's test to know. It isn't going to be the same as what we had initially started it, and she being Sharman, has talked to Kdhe and talked about those particulars. They've also been very good, Sharman, in contacting them to talk about, hey, this is what we're going to spend the money for. Are you okay with these things? And they have agreed all the way through as far as with the Kdhe. So again, anything that comes down, it's still a local decision. The board can make a decision on how they want to handle and the whole coordination of this program. But Charmin, if you wanted to go ahead and talk
Well,
that.
we all know last year was definitely a trial and error type situation for sure, everything. But at the end of the year, I think we had it pinpointed and running smoothly. No contact tracing. People can come in here and test to know, and we do have a good fair amount that continue to come in to test to know. They really like we have the PCR machine. I did PCR tests for students that had to have those tests to compete in other things. That way they could come in here, do it free of charge. I had it for them within 30 minutes. They didn't have to go to a doctor, same with staff. It was very useful, the PCR machine. We currently have about $8,511 left. Some of the funds we used for that was to get a computer, monitors, and all the accessories that we need in the district office very badly. So all of that was paid for. I have approval to get new furniture, all this cloth furniture. You should see schools, cloth is out the door. It is very, very, so some of the funds, we could get some new chairs in here, we could get testing in here. As Brad said, it can pay the majority of my wages. And I can be the treasurer as well. That's a big plus. Cleaning supplies. Me and Janice are ordering cleaning supplies for all the schools. So they have on hand, and that'll cut back on what we have to pay for the janitorial. So, it's limitless, the things that we can use the funds for. So they said anywhere from purchasing a modular to just a couple boxes of gloves. So anything in between.
Okay.
So. Do you have any questions?
We might need a couple.
We tested around 2,100 students and
Yes,
staff.
over
last
2,000 students and staff. So, but by the end of the year, I think we had the program the way the district wanted it. So no contact tracing, people came in to test to know. I saw a lot of kids coming in worried about their grandparents. It really started making them think, hey, it's not just me. Or just the people at the school, they were thinking about the elderly in their family. And they would come in and test to know, they were negative, and then they could go ahead and, do whatever family functions we're doing. So that's just some of the things I see.
Thank you, Sharman.
Mm-hmm.
That's an action item or just
It is.
information? Okay. So is there a motion to continue the Kdhe testing grant?
So moved.
Kelly moves. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Kelly and Callie seconded. All those opposed, please say aye. Motion carried. All right. Workman's comp insurance.
Copeland's insurance that we've had before with our workman's comp premiums going down from $12,060 to $11,501. Recommend.
I move to approve.
I second. All those opposed, please say aye. Motion carried to approve Copeland insurance for our work comp. Property casualty insurance.
Unfortunately, there is an increase. We last year, we were going to see a significant increase, and we had gotten that down. But this year, across the board, this is a part of a group of school districts, and their situation too is the fact that now we've got all our buildings that are insured to their replacement cost. And so that's part of the reason of the cost increase as well as storms. So,
Any questions about property casualty insurance? Last year we got into that pretty extensively, I believe.
What's the total amount?
It's gotta be somewhere around 78,000. I think
Yeah.
last year it was 60.
right.
I mean, it says it's 20% increase too. Yeah.
Yeah.
It must be higher than that. This is where we need that math. So that math instructor
Yep.
jump in,
Yep.
tell us.
That intervention.
Yep, the interventionists, yep. X times 1.19 equals.
Can you tell what this is ESSER? That's ESSER funds.
Well, you wouldn't have to use this to pay that, and it's always the bottom line, right?
Move to approve.
I second. All those opposed, please say aye. Motion carried to approve KERMP, right? KERMP as our casualty insurance. Okay, moving on to the Apple iPad Master Lease.
Josh done a great job with the iPad, working through the lease with it. This year, the cost would be $50,000, K-12, $50,313 annually for 4 years. It includes the difference. Years before, we didn't have cases. That was an extra. So it includes Apple cases, which are fitted to them and should help us with that, plus Apple Care. So what happened, if you remember, we, instead of buying insurance, it was cheaper for us to buy or go out on our own and just take the money in the tech funds, keep it in the bank, and then anytime we had broken screens, what do we have, around 100 screens, then take it up to the place in Wamego,
Manhattan.
the name of the place
Mobile
again?
Revive.
Mobile Revive, and it's about $100 a piece.
Right now it's about 140 minimum.
Okay, so 140 times 100 machines, and we're getting it now for the Apple Care portion of that to be able to take care of it. So they'll send out a new iPad, is that correct?
Mhm.
Versus trying to repair and trying to get them back and forth and all those things. Initially, the first year we did it, we paid almost 62,000 for 4 years, or 3 years actually, and traded them in. And then that's why it went down to 48. So it's been the past 4 years, it's been 48.9. So it's a little more than that, but we didn't get cases and we didn't get the Apple Care. So that's a huge thing, huge difference.
It's what you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
I move to approve.
Second.
Don seconded. All those opposed, please say aye. Motion carried. Thank you for putting that together. Next is the Ford Transit passenger van.
Did we get bids on that bid? Did we get a bid?
Yes.
We did. Okay. We found a used one, and so they'd gotten the bid last week, and so our situation is they have no idea when they're going to get the one that we got the bid for $34,000. No idea. So we found another one on a lot, and it is available and immediately able to go. And so they're getting the bid now, what that is. And then we would just continue with that $34,000 bid. I mean, that's really cheap. And if it,
This one's 50, isn't it?
yeah, and this $34,000 bid, in the future, you still got it on record and you haven't encumbered it. And so then you can just move it forward with that bid. And then when you do encumber it, you guys can choose to say, okay, we want to go ahead and get it or not and move forward. So I would recommend that, then that way you know for sure you've got another one coming at some point.
At a very valuable, a
Right.
very reasonable price,
Yeah. And,
except till next year.
is that the one? Okay, the one that we got from Mel Hamilton Ford, for a 5,981 miles. It's a, did it say what the year is? Yeah, it's a 2020 Ford Transit, and the bid is $61,875, and it is on the lot, and that's the cost to be delivered.
It's got, you said 5,000 miles or 9,000?
Yep. Yep, almost 6,000 miles. So we know we've got it. We need the vehicles. And with the situation with capital outlay, we do have money as far as capital outlay to be able to pay it, because if you remember from our budget previously, we said we aren't going to spend all this amount, but we have the authority to spend it. And so we're still below that amount. So. And if you look at it this way, you're going to get two vehicles for $95,000. Because you got the one for 34 and you got this one for 61. So somewhere around 42.5 a piece, if you look at it that way, for two vehicles.
You're gonna honor them bids for 34,000.
They've got us signed that this is what the bid was in the state contract.
How long was that good for? Is there a date?
We've not seen anything.
Okay. I just wondered.
But, yeah.
Unfortunately, we're in a situation where there's not supply, and we're in a situation where we really need a vehicle.
There's not gonna be one next year, it's not like we can wait 5 months. Yes, but, what do you think, Don?
That'll replace what, the Suburban or something?
Correct.
Just hard to swallow, it's
I know.
almost double.
Yep.
I move to approve.
Jerome moved to approve.
No way.
Sorry, I didn't that comparable.
Well, move the meeting along.
Is there a second?
Oh, yeah.
Kelly seconded. All those opposed, please say aye. Motion carried, you can't vote against your motion.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, thanks, that's tough work, but
Yeah.
holy smokes, it's a pile of money. Okay, moving down to personnel. Is there a need for a?
Nope.
Okay. Anybody here? Nope. Okay, so moving on to approve employment. I move to approve employment as submitted, which is the district rehire list of Transportation Director Clint Thompson, Board of Education Clerk and Human Resources Michelle Garrett, Board of Education Treasurer and COVID Coordinator Sharman Miller, Food Service Director Debbie Westoff, and Maintenance Director Gary Blanton. Technology Director Josh Nisley, Library Media Tech rehire lists, the coaches rehire list as submitted, the cooks rehire list as submitted, building secretaries rehire list as submitted, the Alma Elementary Maple Hill principal Robert
Shavo.
Shavo. Robert Shavo. Okay, counselor, oh, wait. The English, high school English teacher, Sierra Page, and Maple Hill secretary, Lanny Page.
That needs to come off.
The secretary, Maple Hill secretary?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Then, okay, so that list as submitted. Is there a second? Dawn seconded. All those opposed, please say aye. Motion carried. Okay, next, I move to accept the resignations and retirement of Board of Education Treasurer Janice Chamberlain, effective July 29th. The high school counselor Kevin Sullivan, and the Alma Elementary and Maple Hill Elementary principal Dr. Kephart, and approve the transfer of duties of Alma Elementary Secretary Aaron Sutherland to Board of Education Clerk, and Board of Education Clerk Michelle Garrett to AES Secretary.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so it's been moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Callie seconded. All those opposed, please say aye. Motion carried. Welcome to the group.
Thank you very much.
Also like to send my sincere thanks to Mrs. Chamberlain for everything she's done for us in the district.
Yes, for sure.
Change is inevitable, but we've gone through enough, so stick with us through the next page, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Just board members, your mileage reimbursement, the policy BBBE. So if you have mileage to turn in, please have that done so we can have it on this year's budget and taken care of. Much appreciated. And just FYI, at Maple Hill, or excuse me, Paxton Middle School, the Purple Wave auction amount was $4,692.50 for the surplus items that we had online.
What was that?
$4,692
Wow.
Yeah.
for the surplus items. Good. And the high seller, Sherman Wright, was the iPads? Or
The
not iPads,
Max,
the Max.
yeah, over $2,000 brought with the Max.
Hmm.
Those old ones.
Yeah.
Baffled you.
Okay. And this is your last board meeting.
It is. It is.
Well, have fun in retirement.
I am. And will. Thank you for everything, by the way. I do sincerely mean it, and publicly want to state my sincere thanks. 7 years was a pleasure to work with you all. Kelly and Dawn, actually. And Jerome, were you on initially at the 7-year period? Yes. And so thank you very much for everything you've done for me. It was a great honor, and hopefully we did some good things, and hopefully some things that will continue to do well for the district. But I appreciate everyone's work, because I know it's a lot of times it's a sense of service, but it's so important, especially locally, that you all are willing to serve, and you guys are willing to do that. And so much appreciated for your service. And thanks again, and for your friendships. Means a lot.
Dawn, you have anything? Super, I
Candy
mean,
or anything, or what were you for him?
candy, kicking it, finish short.
No, I don't have anything
Okay.
additional to bring up, other than thank you for your service here.
You bet.
Appreciate it, and thank you, Michelle, for sticking with us for a little
Yes.
while. You'll still be here,
Yes,
just
I
won't be
will.
here.
Kelly?
Thank you, Brad. Done some great things for our district, so I really appreciate all the work that you've done in our district. One other thing I would just like for us as a board to think about, last month, we approved a program that created some controversy, and it seemed that many of our teachers and others didn't know about it or have, that we were, what it was about prior to the board approving it. So I'd just like for us as a board to think about, I don't know if it needs to be a policy or something for us to consider as we go forward and either implement different programs or curriculums or things like that, is to make sure that we're getting that input prior to coming to the board. So it could be something where if we have a new program that we want to implement, that it is at least reviewed by the Teachers Association. It doesn't have to come with a recommendation from them, but I feel like that is important for our teachers to know about the curriculum or know about a program prior to it coming here for the board to consider and approve. It's just something I think that would be helpful. We spent many months, I know, on Leader and Lead prior to the board actually implementing it, and I think that if it's an important program, it should have that input from our teachers as well.
When does the elementary principal start?
August 1st.
Okay, is that it? Okay.
Unofficially tonight.
He's here. Callie.
Oh, I didn't see you there.
That's all right.
Oh, I wonder why you weren't here.
Callie, do you have any additional comments?
Well, I just want to say thank you to Brad. It's been a pleasure. I'm jealous of retirement, so one day, but I hope you enjoy it. Thank you so much for your time.
You bet.
And Janice, obviously I'd like to say thank you to her. She's been amazing. And Michelle, I didn't know, it's been quick, but I'm glad you're staying in the district. So, other than that, just, that's it. I think that's it, yeah.
Sounds good. I have nothing further to add. I'm not telling you thank you, so. All right, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
it's been moved and seconded. All those opposed, please say aye. Motion carried. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.
Bye, Callie.
Thank you.